Hello and welcome to Trying Times. My name's Carmen, and if you're new here, then welcome. I hope you know we're basically besties now. No, I'm kidding. No pressure. We're basically friends now. In a nutshell, thank you so much for sharing your time with me and hanging out and deciding to pop in. I hope you enjoy the next 20 minutes to an hour, however long I ramble for today, enjoying this conversation, and hopefully it feels a little bit like a phone call with a friend, because that's the goal here, all right? If you've listened before, thank you so much for coming back and for sharing your time with me, and I can't wait to chat. Yeah, that's really it. That's the intro to the show. That's the whole episode. Okay, thanks. No. Thank you so much for being here. The show is basically about different things that we all experience in life, trying times per se. This episode is going to be one that I know has been a very big thing for not just me, but my friends, family, colleagues, and anybody else that doesn't fall into one of those categories. Today's episode is going to be all about seasonal changes. And I'm sure we're all aware of the fact that the seasons are changing. It is the very end of summer. Well, actually, we are pretty much into fall now. It's kind of crazy how all at once I mean, here at least near Toronto, we were like in a heat wave for the longest time. And then now it's just cold, 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 cold. So, yeah, all of a sudden it's just really cold. And I guess that's just how the cookie crumbles. I guess that's just Canada in a nutshell. This happens every year, but I feel like every year it's still a shock to the system. And I feel like I just got used to the heat and now in the blink of an eye it's gone, which is just how it goes. And I should be used to it at this point. But obviously, with this, we realize very quickly that the seasons are changing. And this means often, along with this, we have some lifestyle changes too. Whether that is in relation to our clothes. Obviously, we're not going to be dressing the same 24/7 because I can't be wearing shorts and a t shirt in the winter. And surely in the summer, I cannot be wearing sweatpants and a hoodie all the time. So it could be in relation to our clothes. It could be in relation to foods. I know for me, at least in the summer, I love eating things that are colder or having more fruits and veggies. Whereas in the winter, probably not as much. It's probably more so like soup or anything warm and carb heavy. So it's totally the opposite. And then music as well, which I've talked about in the previous episode. If you haven't checked that out, please go listen to that. I talk all about the impact of music in my life and the different ways that it can sometimes affect my mood and vice versa. So obviously, I think a lot of these things have an effect on us in a ton of different ways and in different components of our lives, of course. But it is interesting to see how it's already taking effect. And as somebody who loves fall, this is the first time I'm kind of like, whoa, really clocking that summer is ending and that it's over. I love the fall for many, many different reasons, which I'll get into that in a bit. But I feel like this time around, I'm not really prepared for different seasons hitting all at once. Whereas typically, I do find myself trying to prepare for different seasons in different ways. So I will start by saying I noticed two things. One thing was that I unfortunately got sick in I think it was the very beginning of August or maybe the end of July. Anyways, I got hit with a weird fever, and this was something a lot of people I knew got as well. And so I felt this pressure on myself where I was like, oh my God, I'm losing like a week of summer. I'm losing a week of time where I could be outside and enjoying whatever, whether that be the weather, just the sunlight, anything. I'm missing that time and I'm not going to get it back. Because here, it's not to say that the weather's not great, but it's also like when we get summer, it's very much like you want to cling on to it and enjoy every hour that you possibly can, every second of every day if you can. So I felt like I lost some time, and then that was kind of depressing, even though in hindsight, I really didn't lose that much time. Like it was fine, it's not a big deal. Then, on the other hand, we had a couple of days of rain in the last week or so. And with that, the weather obviously went from being like supremely sunny to being quite gloomy and dark and kind of like, I don't know, just muggy and not nice. And then also a little chilly. I don't mind the cold part of it so much, but the part where we don't really get sun affects me a lot more than I like to admit. So already in those couple of days where we had less sun or we woke up and maybe it was just like, very overcast and not nice outside, or there weren't really many breaks for sun, I felt it immediately, like so quick. So we all know that obviously each season brings us a different vibe as a whole. Kind of how I said at the start of this episode. Winter specifically, I will say, is known for its colder weather, like snow, very frigid air, and specifically a lack of daylight. And then there's spring, which is obviously known for its rain, plants beginning to bloom again, and it's kind of like a reset, like a prelude into the summer, if you will. And then summer is known for its very, very bright days, a lot of sun, and immense heat. And then fall obviously is kind of transitional again with leaves falling and so forth. I feel like I'm doing a pre-kindergarten lesson here on weather and the cycles of all the seasons, but you get what I'm saying. So our atmosphere is obviously changing around us, and it makes sense that we would want to change things with it too. Like I said, I think depending on where you live and what the climate's like, it's maybe plausible to be wearing a lot of the same stuff a lot of the time, or to, I don't know, function in the same sense that you would throughout different seasons. Whereas here, it's very much like you got to gear up for winter, you got to get ready. You got to get ready for summer. You got like everything you kind of have to change a little bit to prepare for the weather. And it's something that I find interesting. We don't really like think too much about. We just kind of do because we're all accustomed to it, and it's just something that comes with living wherever we live. And so with our atmosphere changing around us, it makes sense, obviously, like I said, that we'd want to change things too. So, as I mentioned earlier, imagine wearing the same clothes that you wear in the summer into winter. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. I think for food, you can certainly still eat a lot of the same things if you want, but I find personally for me, like now that the weather's getting colder, I'm immediately switching from like iced drinks to hot drinks. I want tea a lot more. Whereas in the summer, and it was like the peak heat we were getting, I was just like, give me any sort of like iced tea, like freezing cold water, anything that's just cold. So yeah, living in Canada, especially in Ontario, the weather is changing a lot. There's a lot to prepare for, so that's something that I wanted to talk about today because I feel like now it's just like we're starting to get into fall. And while this is my favorite season, I'm like, ooh, it's kind of crazy. Just like clocking the change and trying to prepare for it. And also, I don't know, like I said, I lost that week of summer and I was like, oh my God. So once I finally felt better and I finally left the house after like a week of just being bedridden, I was like, I'm ready to be outside again. And then yeah, we just got hit with some chill in the air, some rain, and I was like, oh shoot, like I missed the last of it. It's not that dramatic, but in my head it is, okay? So, an example I mentioned time and time and time again already in the first 5 minutes of this episode is the concept of clothes. This is probably one of the biggest things that changes with each season. I think in this aspect, especially, and probably for most, fall, like I said, is the best because you can get away with pretty much anything. In the summer, you can get away with wearing shorts, skirts, dresses, pants. You can kind of mix and match, do whatever you want. In the winter, it's a lot of pants. And I'll be real, I'm someone who likes dressing up, okay? I like dressing up and dressing in a fun way and expressing myself through my clothes. So winter is probably one of the more depressing seasons for me because I find that I just go out and about very much in jeans and a hoodie, or jeans and a sweater, or jeans and a cardigan. And it's like I can only really mix so many things to make fun outfits without freezing. Whereas in the fall, I can do kind of whatever I want and I don't need a coat. I feel like you can get away with wearing most things and you just layer. If I want to wear a skirt, I can just wear tights and a skirt. And then if I want to wear like a cute top over it, I can, or a sweater, I can just do like a t-shirt and layer it with the sweater. Like it works. Things just work. Whereas in the winter, I feel like sometimes it's just too cold to make it work. And maybe that's me being lazy. I don't know. I will say I traveled to London once in the winter and I was just in awe at the fact that everybody was wearing dresses and skirts and still dressing the way that they want all year round. Like they were just really, really proficient in layering their clothes. Whereas here, I just feel like with the snow and slush, it's just not the same. It's not fun. It's not particularly fun. Can you do it? Yeah, absolutely. But I probably won't be doing it. I live out of like the same maybe like I rotate through the same three pairs of shoes. And one of those is just flat out like proper winter boots that just, they're not going to go with much, I'll be real. It's just not a cute outfit. So there's that. I rotate through that. I rotate through the same, I don't know, 5 to 10 pairs of pants. And it's just like what I want to do. Or if I'm not doing those, then I'll do like leggings. And then sometimes when it's like I just got to pop out to go run an errand, it's just sweatpants because I'm not going to be out here like what can I style with these jeans? It's just a hoodie. It's just a hoodie, babes. You're not wearing anything else. So for me, that's kind of like depressing because it's the same thing over and over and over again. So it just doesn't work. I don't know. And it's also kind of like you can't just like get away with anything. Like I'm someone who's generally cold all the time, like in the winter especially. So if it's like minus 15 or minus 20 and then there's like wind chill, your main goal is kind of just to wear all of the layers to stay warm as much as you possibly can. Whereas in the summer, it's like you have to wear whatever you can and it's still hot, which is like kind of a disadvantage. You can get away with dressing cuter, but it is sometimes like it's just too hot. Whereas again, in the winter, it's just too cold. Spring, I guess, is kind of similar to fall. The only thing is just the rain, which like just throw a raincoat on, you're good. That's pretty much it. But yeah, fall I think is forever the best season out of all of them because clearly, as you can tell, I consider clothes a lot. It's something that I take into consideration and not lightly. I just feel like it's so much better in the fall to just wear whatever you want to wear. And I feel like I just get excited because it's like, I don't know, you still get decent amounts of daylight. It's not as much, obviously, but you still get to do really whatever you want with your clothes. And that's fun. I still get to be experimental. Whereas as soon as the snow starts, I'm kind of like, oof, I pull out the same rotation of coats or jackets, the same pants, and again, hoodies. And it is literally like I feel like a cartoon character wearing the same clothes over and over again. Like, you know, when you're watching like SpongeBob and he's just obviously wearing the same thing every day. That's how I feel in the winter. Or Arthur. I love Arthur. I just feel like that's my cartoon like outfit or video game character like outfit for every day of winter. I'm just wearing the same thing in different colors pretty much. And I guess that's the case for everyone because like I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not trying to look cute in the winter. It's very much just like comfort and warmth, and that's it. Going off of that, as I mentioned, fashion is a big thing in my life. I really enjoy dressing up, even if it's like casual or really having fun with it. I just enjoy dressing up. So sometimes when I can't do that, or I feel like I can't do that, maybe because the weather is a restriction, it affects my mood, which is a whole other thing I want to talk about here. So I feel like for a lot of people, myself included, mood is overall a much lighter, positive, easier thing to deal with in the summer and fall. Otherwise, I'm pretty bummy in the spring, I'll say, because of all the rain. I get excited because I'm like, oh my God, we get some brighter days are ahead. Brighter days are ahead. But then in the winter, oh my God, my mood is just horrid. It's horrible. I feel really depressed, I'll be real. I get probably a little bit antsy because of the lack of sun, lack of vitamin D, if you will. It's just not great. And there's different things I know that everybody around me tries out to help with it. Because again, with the lack of sun, it's just like, mm, what are we doing? You know, it's tough. A lot of people around me use those sun lamps and they really love them. And I think that those are great. I also have been meaning to invest in one of these for like the last 2 years. So I think this will finally be the winter that I do use one and buy one because it's just, it's hard. The sun comes up quite late into the morning, and then it goes down before the day really is anywhere even near being over. So it's just kind of like we feel like we don't get many hours in a day. The days are also much shorter, I believe. Everything just feels like it goes by so fast. I was actually talking about this with a friend and the whole thing of like sometimes it feels exciting in the winter because you can look forward to certain things or certain markers, if you will. A big one my friend mentioned was Christmas. Obviously, this is an exciting time, regardless of the capacity of how you celebrate or may not celebrate. But a lot of this can revolve around different things like quality time with friends and family or loved ones, maybe gift giving, maybe indulging in some delicious food, maybe, I don't know. It's like, it's one of those things you can't escape, right? Where when you go to a store, they have things set up for it everywhere, or you go to the mall, music, Christmas music blaring everywhere. I'm also convinced it's not even October yet, but I'm convinced. I feel like before Halloween even starts, they're going to start playing Christmas music because they just put things out so early in stores. And it gets sooner and sooner every single year. So it is one of those things where it's like a positive marker. You get Christmas, you get to celebrate, and it's fun. But then after Christmas, what are we doing? I'm going to be real with you. The only other holiday I can think of in the winter is like Valentine's Day. And nobody around me really heavily cares for it because, okay, cool, we get chocolate, fun. That's really it. And then outside of that, like there's really nothing going on. So I feel like Christmas is the one marker and it's fun and it's exciting. And then after that, it's kind of just like, oh, now we're just in this, aside from New Year's, obviously, that's another one. January feels sometimes a little bit depressing because it's like we all celebrate New Year's and then a week after we're like, oh, this is it. This is the new year. Maybe I sound very pessimistic saying it that way. I don't know. But it is one of those things where it's just like, I don't know, it's a grim season. Unless you genuinely love outdoor sports or into winter sports. I don't know if you're into like skiing and snowboarding and all that stuff. I've mentioned this in a previous episode. I would love to be someone who's into that stuff, but I unfortunately am just not. My coordination's not quite there with that, so I don't know if I'm willing to try that. And as I'm getting older, it just feels like more of a risk at this point. So I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I'll give it a shot this winter. I say this every year. Let's see if it happens. But yeah, so that's mood. I feel like in the winter it's tough to keep your mood uplifted sometimes cuz it's just like it's dark all the time and I'm someone without realizing it who needs a lot of sunlight. Very much like a plant. I need sunlight to thrive, to feel happy, to grow, to feel better. I don't know. But I think something I can do to help impact my mood in a positive way throughout this time is probably just indulge in hobbies. I have quite a few different hobbies that can just revolve around chilling at home. I love puzzles. That probably sounds so boring, but I do love puzzles. They're so much fun. Or like building, I don't know, Lego is great. I love reading. Winter's amazing for reading because you just get to like snuggle up and you're good. So I love that. Crocheting, I sound kind of like a senior, and that's fine. It's whatever. Crocheting is great. I feel like it's something I do every winter, and then I don't do it when it's not winter, and then I forget how to do it. So I teach myself once more how to do it when winter comes back. So that will probably happen again this year. I also got into the whole thing with Book Nooks where you build that little model to like put on your bookshelf. I was so into these last winter. I bought one and then I finally started it and I have not yet touched it again. It is insane how many little pieces there are on that thing. And I very much overestimated my abilities. So that is something I will 110% be getting back into. My book nook. Cannot wait. That'll be fun. So there's that. And yeah, obviously, podcasting is a really fun thing I enjoy doing. This is something that I do more often than not in my house, anyways. So I think there's been probably only really a couple episodes where I've recorded not in my house and it's been out either at another place, like a studio or a building, or it's been in a car. I've done that before too, which was fun. So yeah, this is a fun thing to do all year round, but again, in the winter it is fun because it forces me to indulge in something and engage in something that is not just being a sloth at home, which that's very easy to do in the winter. So yeah, there's that. After all of those things, and I mentioned this earlier, I will say food. This is something that I think for me can definitely be influenced by the weather. So, for instance, in the summer, like I mentioned, I like cold things, and that's not just exclusive to healthy foods. Of course not. I do like fresher foods during this time, but ice cream, cold drinks, going to cafes and getting an iced whatever. Amazing. Amazing. I love that. Gelato, please. I was actually really good with not getting ice cream a whole lot this summer, I'll be real. I'm kind of disappointed in that. I got ice cream a couple times, whereas normally it is a very frequent activity. So there's that. And then in the winter, I'm just like the opposite. Give me all the baked goods, soup, tea, hot chocolate. And then again, anything carb heavy, bread in any form, I don't care. I will have it. So it's hard. It's hard to sometimes transition into different seasons and not have that change be so immense. And I know for a lot of people, it's always like wanting to eat healthier at all points of the year. And while that's amazing, I think it's easier to beat ourselves up during this time when we're not maybe achieving those goals or eating the way that we would like to eat, if that makes sense. For me, I am just at a point of trying not to beat myself up about it because we're humans. It's fine. You're not going to eat the same thing every single day. And if you are, hey, that's amazing. But if you're not, that's okay too. It's actually really okay. So there's that. I know I very vaguely mentioned music earlier in this episode too. This can be seasonal. And at the same time, it could also be one of the only constants throughout the year. There are certain songs that, for me, I just associate with summer. Slide by Frank Ocean. That's a great song. I associate that heavily with the summer and a few other songs that I just can't even think of right now. That's always the first one I think of when it comes to music for the summer. But I feel like there's certain songs that, yeah, you could listen to it in the winter and it reminds you of the warmer seasons. Maybe it doesn't feel the same, so you reserve it for different seasons, and that's fine. Then on the other hand, like I mentioned, there is the moment you walk into a store or a mall and they're blaring Christmas music, or they're playing, I don't know, Halloween music's not really heavily a thing. It should be. Like in stores, I feel like they don't really do it the same that obviously that they would with like Christmas music. Let's do that more. Let's put Halloween music on top, I think. I think we should play it a little bit more in stores. Why not? So yeah, that's a huge constant too throughout the year where I feel like it's a good indicator of what season we're at or what point in time we're at in a year. So yeah, a lot of what I've talked about already in this episode is based off conversations I've had with friends. So I wanted to take to Reddit to see what people were saying about their own routines changing with the seasons. And I very quickly learned that this was split into two major categories. The first being skincare. That's a huge thing. And then the second thing being fitness. So I looked a little bit into both. So someone on Reddit did ask more so in the skincare realm. This is under the skincare addiction community. But someone asked, how does your routine change with the seasons? Just for some extra information, they said, seeing as winter is turning to spring in some places, not everywhere yet, how does your skincare routine change with it? Or maybe it doesn't. And I feel like for the most part, people are saying that their skin is super dry in the winter. So they use a lot of like heavy moisturizers and serums and sheet masks or a lip balm. That's a huge one. Lip balm, like their lives depend on it because it is a real thing. And it's a lot of like just dryness. And then when they move into spring, because it's a little bit more of a humid time, or, there's a little bit more of like, I hate this word. It's a little bit more of a moist season. They switch out of like heavier products to lighter products that are still moisturizing. So I thought that was interesting. That was a big thing a lot of people were talking about. And I agree with some of what I saw in here because it's mostly people saying that they just go in heavy on moisturizer because winter is cruel in the sense of it being supremely cold and drying. And there's no escaping that. You can't really do anything about that, so you just kind of have to learn to work with it. And it takes a while to find what works for you too, which is a little bit tough. And the other sector that I really noticed a lot of participation in and people talking about when it comes to seasonal changes is fitness and motivation and all that kind of stuff. So I saw another post about this on Reddit that I thought was really interesting, and someone basically just said, motivation struggles with the change of season, question mark. They wrote, hey everyone, I've been struggling with motivation lately, and I was wondering if anyone else is going through the same thing with the change of season. My goal is to lose around 10 to 12 pounds of fat, so I know I need to stay in a calorie deficit to make that happen. In the past year, I focused on recomping, and I've been in a calorie deficit for the past 3 months. Within this year, I lost about 13 pounds of fat and gained 2 pounds of muscle, but I'm still only around 33% body fat, hoping to get eventually down to 23%. With the colder weather coming in, I'm finding it hard to stay in a deficit and push myself at the gym. I noticed that for the past month, my workouts just don't excite me anymore in the way that they used to, and getting to the gym feels like a drag. Any tips for staying consistent with your workouts and your diet, even when it's getting cold and gloomy outside? Thanks in advance. So, some people commented on this and they just wrote basically in a nutshell, I feel the exact same way. Winter does a number on me. Winter is really hard to work around. And somebody else wrote also, like, don't worry, we all go through it, which I thought was just really nice. Somebody did say, and I really like this answer, it's the little things for me. It's now cold enough to enjoy a luxurious bath as a workout reward, which is huge. And I always forget about that. That's a really good point. I'm going to remind myself of that. So, yeah, what I took away from this is basically like everybody gave really wonderful ideas for the winter because it gets colder and darker. And I'm not going to lie to you, I can't fathom working out for some reason. So, I'm going to keep this thread in my faves because, yeah, when I don't feel really motivated, this will help me too. But a few major takeaways I got from this is obviously the warm bath is a reward for a workout. Another idea being to look to longer walks on the treadmill to get that fix that maybe you might not be able to get when it's like frigid or icy out, which is a huge thing here, especially for me. I tend to only go on walks in the winter when I have to walk my dog. And even that can be a mission because he pulls me all over the place and it gets very icy. Black ice is a very scary thing. So I don't want to be slipping around and falling around more than I need to. So treadmill will be a huge thing. Or elliptical, that's another thing. Obviously, cycles are great too because I'm not going to be outside riding my bike in the snow and on the ice. Some people do it, and all the power to them. I will not be one of them. Another good idea that somebody also mentioned was trying new things at the gym or other fitness class facilities. So some major ones here I saw were yoga or Pilates. Me personally, I've never tried Pilates. I would really love to. It's on my list to do at some point. But this year I did also get into yoga and also boxing, which is really great. And I feel like those are some things that'll probably help me a little bit during the winter as well, just because it's a little different from working out on your own. And I find that sometimes working out in a group setting can be motivating as well. It can be nice to have that drive and that push when other people around you have the same sort of goals. So I think that that's really exciting. maybe that's something that someone can take away from this during the winter months too, is just that, yeah, it's hard sometimes to get out there and do it and push yourself, but doing it in a group setting can be really nice and actually a huge motivator because it's not so much about letting yourself down or not feeling up for it yourself, but sometimes it can actually be a bonus or a huge mood booster to be around other people and to share some sort of a movement in that sense. So, yeah, that was me rambling about weather. And basically, this episode was a whole thing about seasonal changes and lifestyle changes with it, which it very much was. And I think it ended up turning into a little bit more of a how to conquer December, January, and February, maybe even March type of episode. And if that's all you took away from it, if anything at all, I'm very happy about that. Hopefully, this prepares you a little bit better for the winter because I'm hoping it prepares me. For now, though, I will enjoy the fall, and I hope you do too. Go get all the pumpkin spice things. And, I'm going to say this real quick. I know it seems very basic to do that, but I love it. Pumpkin spice anything is so fun and exciting. I love Halloween. I love spooky season, so I will thoroughly be enjoying this time, and I hope you do too. Hopefully, if you're able to get out and do something fun, I don't know, go to a fall fair, go watch a scary movie, something. Just go enjoy it in any capacity. It's a lot of fun, and I hope you really enjoyed the season. And then yeah, we'll be in winter together. So there's that. If you've listened this far and if you're still here, thank you so much for being here and spending your time with me and sharing that time with me. I really appreciate you. If you want to talk about anything at all, weather related or otherwise, actually, if you have any recommendations for things you do in the winter to get out of a slump maybe or feel a little bit better or feel, I don't know, happier, feel free to share that with me because I'd love to know. I'm always looking for recommendations and different things to try. So yeah, go ahead and DM me at the Trying Times Podcast on Instagram. I would really, really love to hear from you and chat with you about that some more. And yeah, that is it. The next time we chat, we'll probably be a little bit closer to winter, and that's fine. That's okay. But that's all for today. Thanks so much. And yeah, we'll chat again soon, okay? Bye.